All right, folks, it's time for, well, if not my favorite, maybe my second favorite map here in Harper's Ferry. It's Schoolhouse Ridge. It's not the urban combat one. It, well, we'll talk about the map in a minute, but I'll show you who the officers are. You can read, right? So try to keep them unmuted. Got Arthur on the Union Pineapple, Blake on CSA. Yeah. So we have a number of folks who are quality officers, but this one has big arty. It's just a big map. What do we got? We got 254 to start, so I'm not complaining about that. And it's a Union defending map. Fairly open. This is this tree right here at the intersection of those fences is one of the signature landmarks. The point of contention is down here. It's one of those things where the point kind of stretches out in weird ways, but you know that that bush is kind of your marker that you're in and around point. Of course, you would know it if you stepped on it. CSA has two batteries. The main one is, if you see that lone kind of tree out there, the main CSA battery is there. There is another CSA battery. We'll try to fly on over there. Back in the at the tree line, right there. And then the Union, I believe, has access to 3 or 4 batteries, but it's pretty much all the guns that are in the readout. Most of them aren't operable. From the readout, you have to roll them down and forward. But that's that. Anyways, we'll take a look. I know it's kind of the weird time of day. I wish this one was played, without the rain and with a whole lot more sun, because it's a good looking map. I think it's supposed to be an early morning attack, so that's why it looks the way it does. But the CSA has opted to push their right, the Union's left, embed themselves on the fence. And what the CSA frequently will do from here is then work their way down this fence. Sometimes they'll, uh, that is untrue. Once the artillery gets in position, we'll see how it does, right? But that is not a difficult position for artillery to hit once it gets into position. But I don't know, 3 minutes in, it probably is not going to do that. I haven't seen this approach from the Union before, which is to basically sit back on the point, slightly behind it, and wait for the CSA to move up. So you can kind of tell what the Union's doing here, right? This hill rolls, and so the Union's on the backside. They may be offering the CSA an early cap. This feels like it used to be more defensible. It felt like the defenders used to win this one more. I say that in both organized and hub play, but I don't know. More recently, it seems like it's been a while since the Union has handed the CSA an L on this one. But I'm not everywhere at all times, and so I'm sure it has happened. It's just it used to feel really close, and that was kind of one of the other markers for me of a good map, where at least in skirmish mode, where both sides have a reasonable chance. We do have something of a mystery of where is the 4th CSA company? Is it that? It's got to be, right? Huh. Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with this, but hey, this is a win for the Union. Very few tickets are being lost on their end, and time is burning off the black timer, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. The CSA is opting now to go to the woods for the most part. Maybe Chungus's group that was up in those hills will then join them and they'll consolidate and push from there. I don't know. They haven't told me their plan, but we'll at least go on board with Chungus's company. Usually Chungus draws a Chungus crowd, and so this company should be pretty effective. It's the Union wise. Well, they stood up, so that means their officer somebody was looking and told them it's time to stand up. I think.
To your right here.
Did I hear Arthur? I did. Yeah.
Up to me.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, so... Alright, so Chungus group wisely pulls its flag back. They're going to get the tickets that they can get with this push. And then there's the... I won't say it's the second push, but it's a second push. Second company there, and I believe the CSA... Oh. They decided to push out in the open field. That's interesting. We'll see how that works. I would suspect that those two companies will then push against that one company. Actually, that's probably three companies, right? Yeah, it's Pineapple, Arthur, and Vintage. You put three companies into action against, I think that was Redcoat's company. And so that means, I know I'm really putting my arithmetic skills on display. I'm sorry. Blake and George's companies can come up and get a 2v1 versus Lassica's. We'll see.
Disengage for now. Rally here. We're in the bad spot.
Well... That means Chungus's company, which a lot of them got back into the woods, should be able to get up to full health pretty soon. It's a nice arty shot from the less frequently used battery for the CSA. It's just far away from spawn. It seems far easier. The Union can run to that battery. It's not hard to counterbat, and so it doesn't always get a lot of play. I guess if you've done your homework and you kind of know how to shoot through the trees, it can be advantageous because a lot of times the Union will hang out over here because it's hard for the CSA batteries behind those trees to see them.
That's two companies in front of us.
So the Union's going to use the roll of the hill here. Right, so if we can kind of get down to man height. There's a cool arty shot overhead. You can see that the hill should protect almost all of them, except what they need to shoot themselves. And so the Union's made a bit of an L here. Guess the CSA pushed far enough through that they're not on cap. They weren't looking to give an early cap, and so they'll go with what they have here. Alright, Chungus's line's looking pretty Chungus. Yeah, 3 CSA companies here means that they should have plenty of respawns, but they're in a bit of an open spot. You can see, well, we're up really high too. I mean, if we're down at CSA level, right, the profiles are a bit smaller. I'm surprised that the CSAs are at least taking their flags in that far. That company seems to be having a rough time of it. These two companies in the middle here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've certainly closed the distance, but my goodness, into what? Alright, we can see Chungus's group. They're going for a little bit of a dank flank. These companies need to chew up more of the Union's attention for that to work. It may actually work. Yeah, it may actually work. Doesn't look like the Union realizes the attack. The CSA is going to embed themselves in that stream. The Union should still have a bit of a peeker's advantage. The CSA has to come up while they get to shoot, but not much. And if the CSA just goes a little left of those rocks, they should be able to come kind of around the side of the Union and then shoot down the road, but most CSA look like they're going right in. Alright, and having dealt with those two companies that need to get healthy, that third company, unfortunately for Chungus's group, that means certainly you can see how quickly Arthur moved him. Arthur and Pineapple, they've put two companies in action against Chungus's group. Long term, this is not going to go well for Chungus's group. Well, I guess it's Lassica's and the other company kind of deal with the remnants of that company that went wide. I don't know if that was Blake's company or a different one. Anyways, yep. Chungus's group stayed in the fight, did what they could. You know what? As
Hop it.
yeah,
This snake fish fire will.
as reasonably as the Union has defended this on tickets and on time, this is starting to become better for the CSA. Hey, the CSA's main strength is up there. They're gonna get pretty heavy. I think that CSA might be slightly ahead on tickets. If not, it's close. And now that they're actually fighting, the ticket burn rate, it's better for the attackers. So we'll see what else we get here, but well played by the Union, but CSA's still made a show. All right, CSA has opted to push up to the fence here. Did a pretty good job getting a jump on the Union. The Union's got the flags though, so the CSA has the numbers down there. Union on top. Looks content to, I guess, volley something. There is a bit of a CSA push here. I guess trying to get back out to the road rather than up to friendlies. Not as bad as it looks for the CSA. I mean, that does provide a lot of cover. But it's when you come out and you try to get up here, the Union has a much larger peeker's advantage. And the group down there, they're just waiting for you to come out. It's true. Alright, CSA is looking a little worse for wear. CSA is going to end up, well, on the Union's left of that line. Another good jump. Well, I think the Union was maybe tunneling a little bit on the group in front of them, but we got a lot of CSA down here who are getting their loads, getting their bayos. I guess the Union's decided they've had enough of this. I think the numbers are with them. Yeah. Yeah. But sure enough, I mean, it shows that even when the Union's kind of defending reasonably, this, I don't know if this is Chungus's group or a different company took their spot in the woods. Now that the Union is committed to clearing this creek, they're going to push back into the Union and allow those companies to get healthy and probably rinse and repeat here. What do we got? 275 on the server pop, so
this line and start shooting them, gentlemen.
well, those companies feel they're healthy enough. Again, with 3 flags and respawning people in all the time, CSA is showing you here what good flag management can do. It gives you, right, mobility. And if you lost your flags, you're respawning main. It allows the defenders time to reset. Defenders have their flags, you know, go anywhere. But you keep those flags, you keep mobility, and as the attackers, you get to keep the pressure on. You can see that they are just... The Union is so tunneled. I think maybe it was Chungus's group, maybe it was another one, but they're just going to come up on this high ground here behind the Union and then shoot down onto them. And the Union is still entirely facing the wrong direction. Of course, the rank and file don't always move as fast as the officers. Every officer will probably tell you that, but the idea was there. guess the unions see the CSA getting healthy, and maybe they're going to make a push to try to put an end to that. Artie, which we really haven't seen too much from, gets a good looking hit. Guess the union's gonna pull back. CSA has done it, whatever it is. But man, tickets here, you can just see are brutal for the union. I mean, we'll get the adult formation stuff at the end, and we'll see how much that mattered, but I don't generally see too many union out Rambo. I mean, officers and NCOs have done a pretty good job corralling them. CSA certainly looks like they're pushing together. I mean, as the attackers, you kind of understand that people get a little spread out. And then it got much, much darker. Authentic Civil War quotes. A little low. I think the idea was to snag these guys. Oh, you see that Union company? Oh, we missed it. Well, no, we kind of saw towards the end. That Union company went out and tried to put a melee in. I think that is Chungus's flag. The white flag. Well, we'll see what the ramifications of that are.
We're still good here.
Any Union push? Yeah, it looks like some Union made it to the side of the tree line. Yeah. My goodness, the rain.
Get down here, gentlemen.
I get it as a thing and part of the actual war, but I feel like most people just don't want it when they're actually playing in battle. I mean, I've never heard anybody be like, man, I hope it really starts raining soon. CSA is comfortably ahead. That was a good looking shot from the Union. I think that hit just about right in the creek. Yeah, we saw a couple of CSA get knocked down. That's what you'll get these days. Guess the CSA is going to go back? Forward? Somewhere. Strategic misdirection. I guess it's tactical misdirection here. But anyways. CSA are doing reasonably well. This is a map. If the Union wants to, they can pretty much pull back and turtle. They absolutely can. Whether they can do anything after that is always an open question. But I think in particular where that company is, the Union wants to kind of create a fort and you have enough artillery that's operating up in the break, you can make it very difficult for the CSA to attack you, and then you kind of put them in a are you going to early cap situation where you might be able to counterattack, get the CSA's ticket level, and get yourself some more tickets to play with overall, and try to even things up before the breaking and last stand stuff. This is interesting. Kind of got layered, shooting most CSA in the trench, but some behind. So if artillery misses high or low on one, it might hit the other. All right, we see one CSA company pushing out. How are we on pump? We're not quite to 300, but we are getting there. So the Union are burning through their tickets a little too quickly. The CSA is probably right about where they ought to be, although they're more concerned about the defenders level and then their ratio compared to the defenders. They're ahead of the defenders. Probably not by a terrible amount. What I'm talking around is that this is about the time that the Union's got to make a kind of gut check. Can you win this? That was a good hit by Union already. There's probably a lot of knockdowns. Do you go for the turtling? We kind of force the CSA into cap recap and try to do it that way, or do you just try to fight him straight up? I think this is very big. This is not a good withdrawal at all for the Union. My guess is there's some friendlies on the right for the Union who might be able to deal with that. I don't think so. The CSA is just going to embed themselves in there and shoot any Union who do come up. I do think some CSA on this map get buck and ball. It's been a while since I played this in infantry. In a lot of ways, it doesn't look like it should be a good buck and ball map, right? It's so open. But the way the CSA can use terrain, and the way also the Union uses terrain, get a lot of the fighting at ranges that are actually pretty hospitable to buck and ball. Alright, there's a Union down here. I think the Union are going to lose a lot of tickets. This, maybe not. Maybe it's just not showing up yet, but if the Union is going to play for cap recap, they got to do it fairly soon. Because it takes a while to get everybody on the same page. Now, if the Union can sit on those two flags, it becomes a... I don't know if it's a much more winnable map, but it becomes a little bit easier to do. Particularly... Yeah... It looks a little bit closer here on tickets, but I think the meter is maybe misleading us a little bit. Hasn't quite caught up to where the Union really is. I guess when it's this close as the Union, maybe you try to play it straight up, but I think they're probably down by a third of a morale stage. Though their artillery does seem to be helping them a bit more than the CSA's is helping theirs. That's the nature of the map. What does the CSA do? Remember, we are really far from the point of contention.
Like,
So that's
the dumbest.
That's me. Yeah, point of contention's there. Looks like CSA counterbat over there. Funny animation.
Where are you from? What country? James 770.
See the CSA trying to move company we have back there, and it looks like the CSA. It's hard to tell where those two companies are going, but my guess is they want those flags back. I think the Union probably knows that. And then I wonder if that company's going to play out further to the right. Well, we will see. I guess for now it's Chungus's group, which has been active, I think, the whole time. They've kind of moved around in the woods and kept up a hot skirmish, but I think they've managed to keep their flag up. And, you know, with numbers, was I right? Yeah, 56, yeah. Has been able to keep the ticket burn on. I'm guessing that Union Company is down there. Yeah, they're camping the flags. I love to see it. It's Arthur's group. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. So does I don't know, I think Pineapple was working with him earlier. I don't know where he is. Are you kidding me? Is that a bugler giving away their position? My goodness. Yeah. I'm not too sure what happened there. I thought maybe the Union was trying to camp those down flags. So Arthur baited them to follow him. And then this other group came over, and you can see that they don't know what's up. I'm guessing Chungus's group went to point to cap early. Yeah. I mean, depending on how this fight goes, if this goes poorly for the CSA, that's probably well, it's actually a little hard to say. If it goes too poorly and the Union recaps with basically little CSA ticket loss, the CSA is going to end up in a worse position. But I think the Union unfortunately allowed the CSA to get all their flags back, and so now this becomes a much more difficult affair. The CSA will have to take a minute to get those two companies to spawn in the rest of their friendlies. I don't know what the Union's going to do here. I mean, ideally, you know you have a CSA company down there, so it can't help the other three if you know where the other three are, and we know where 1, 2... Is there one just kind of off? Is there one without an officer? I don't know. But it looks like the fight is eventually going to move up to that set of trees and really these set of trees. We can see the two CSA flags flapping around back there. Unfortunately, I don't know this group. I don't know if Arthur's group here is going to have the best time of this. If his friendlies don't come up on his right to clear those woods to his right and then push these guys through. I mean, he's kind of waving the giant, you know, shoot at us thing, and probably in the hopes that friendlies clear those woods, knock those flags down, stand on them, and that means that the Union can then put 4 flags into action against 2 for the CSA. One is there. The one is it without an officer? No? I don't know. I just don't see him. Well, maybe he's in now, because I see 6 stars over here. And so now we have 3v3. Now it's going to be much harder for the Union to remove this CSA. I believe, like I said, some of the CSA have access to buck and ball. And even if they don't, this is going to be a very hot skirmish, which tends to benefit defenders. Or, I'm sorry, attackers. Because it's 50-50 casualties. And the attackers have more tickets. And so if you're going to go 50-50, Attackers will take that all day. I can say that the Union desperately needs to recap that point, because they would get a ton of tickets back at 15 minutes, but the longer this goes on, the fewer tickets the Union's going to get back, but at least they'll go back at the same even level. And there's a chance to pull it out. But I'm not sure they're going to get there. Yeah, I think Arthur's group is getting shredded. They need to get that flag up and probably to get it out. Now you got, I believe, friendly artillery coming in and killing you. Well, I guess Arthur lived. He went in the woods and lived. That's pretty good, but the timer says what it says. There's 3.5 minutes. The CSA should know that all they have to do is hang out near the point of contention and be able to challenge any Union push, because they are the defenders now. And a lot of the key terrain that defenders would be able to use well is now in the CSA's hands, so. Yeah, the Union skirmishing up there doesn't really help them get that point back. And you can see that the CSA, the second company, is using this opportunity to preemptively start moving near that point, because they know that's where the fight is, right? There's less than 3 minutes. Attackers are going to win if the defenders don't recap the point. And so they're going to try to move so that when the defenders come as attackers, I know that's odd, Pineapple's group here, that the CSA will just be able to sit and shoot. We'll go down to the CSA and we'll see if that's true, but they'll be able to sit and shoot at the Union as they come in. And generally it's better to be shooting than running. Another good shot from Union artillery. It's fairly easy hits, but this is Chungus's Chungus line, and those dudes, I think they pretty effectively skirmished off the Union company they were dealing with. A lot of them have loads. Redcoat's group is here in reserve. They're going to toast Pineapple's group, but what else can they do? Maybe push together, but I think the Union's just going to get knocked down like dominoes here, one company at a time, while the CSA with their flags backing up are just going to keep spawning in all the casualties. Yeah. Alright, maybe you'll be able to get that one in. Another good hit from Union Arty. Again, they've actually kind of made their presence felt, but... And it's probably scaled correctly to the number of players on a server and the number of guns that are operational for the number of players on the server. I realized the error of my long complaints about Arty's decreased lethality. If it was as lethal as it was in earlier renditions of the game, artillery's just, it would be killing way too much. It's a good shot by CSA Arty. I don't know, dude, what is up with that? That is the third time I've seen that. It usually always happens when it rains. Sometimes it happens when there's a change weather that goes through. I don't know what those two Union companies were doing down there. Maybe they're looking at a different timer. But now that they allowed the two friendlies to get knocked down, they will have the distinct displeasure of getting mowed down by the CSA, and all they can do is run. And so the well-coordinated Union defense that we saw to start the round has given way to a massacre here to end it, but that does happen. Yep, CSA will clean up there. We've got only a few ticks left on the clock, and then we will be done with this one. Be interested to see what happened with the formation deaths, particularly early on. It seemed like the Union was frequently shooting rather than meleeing, but they still lost on tickets. And they didn't really seem to have an answer for when they got early capped, or I don't know. I don't know what the plan was, right? Not in those conversations. So, I mean, as the defenders, they're taking basically the same number of out of lines. Okay, they're taking fewer skirmishing, but they're taking basically the same number of out of lines. And as defenders, the game forces you to be more perfect than it forces the attackers. And, the reason is that you're supposed to be able to choose good defensive ground, and sometimes you have less room to go. So that's the kind of trade-off. But given that you have almost even casualties on this, and even out of line and skirmishing, I think that explained a lot of what happened early on. But then the inability to recap at the end sealed the deal. So it was actually very well done by both sides. Way to go on the CSA side for sticking out and getting the win. I enjoyed it. It's a map that I usually do enjoy. I hope you enjoyed it too. And I hope to have you back for the next one.